Hello. Welcome to the Grace Yourself podcast, where the grace is always greener. My name's Grace, and today we're going to be talking about feeling empty. A feeling of emptiness or like you're missing something is common, and it can be caused by multiple things, including emotional stress, exhaustion, lack of fulfillment, loneliness. There's so many ways and reasons that you could be feeling this way or could be affecting the way that you feel. So, I wanted to give you guys some tips or ways that have helped me or ways that I can think of to help you on how to get rid of this feeling or at least how to start. So, let's get into it. My first point is going to be on volunteering or contributing to a bigger picture. I know in the past when I have volunteered at places, whether it's an animal shelter or a food or clothing distribution place. Um, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and it was good for multiple reasons. Not only did I feel as though I was helping others, I could see that I was helping others. When people would come into the food bank or the clothing bank, um, you could see that they were grateful. And when they weren't grateful, you had the sense of knowing that they were going through a struggling time and you were still able to help them. With animals, animals by themselves are just a great mood booster, but when you're able to help them, especially animals without families and shelters, it's great to know that you can provide the love for them that a family isn't providing. In all, it's just the fact that you're helping others without anything in return. And that's good sometimes. It's important to do things because it's important to, how should I say this? You shouldn't always do something for a reward. Sometimes you should do it because you know that it would help somebody else, and that's the sole reason. And I really love that. Even something like giving compliments is lovely, or just being kind, holding the door for someone, saying you like their hair or their glasses. Oh, you have a cool nose piercing. I love the color of your hair. That's a cute shirt. Or have a good day. All of these things can completely change someone's day and you wouldn't even know. Tons of people are going through struggles that you have no clue and you wouldn't be able to tell from the outside. So doing a little act of kindness as simple as just giving them a compliment can really change the path of their day, or even, who knows, something bigger than that. And with the thought of that in the back of your head that you could really help someone, it's so simple to do. And all of those things, volunteering for the most part is usually free. You can go and be like, hey, do you guys need volunteers? And most of the time they will say absolutely yes. I know obviously there's some organizations that you can pay to volunteer, and that's lovely too, but there are options where you don't need to pay anything. Because I know, like, as a college student, I don't have a bunch of money that I can just be dropping on these things. However, there are so many free options that you can go into doing, and so many people can benefit from them. So, volunteering and contributing to something bigger is my first point. And with the experiences of doing that, I think that you should really try it out because it really opens your eyes. On days where you're feeling ungrateful, even if you're not trying to feel ungrateful, it's often to get a feeling of unsatisfaction when you're used to the same things over and over again. But when you take a step back and realize you have a roof over your head, you have running water, you have a phone, you have all these things, a bed, you have shelter from storms, car, all these things are things that many people don't have, can't afford, are saving up for, or don't may never have. When I went on a mission trip to Guatemala one time, it really opened my eyes, and coming back to the States afterwards, I was just it was really difficult. And it showed me that I should really be more grateful for what I have, because some individuals over there were they had nothing. They had never had a refrigerator, they had never had a washing machine or dryer. When we were there, actually, it had been raining the entire time, and we were there for at least a week. I think 2 weeks, but it might have just been a week. Um, but when we went, it was raining, and it had been raining for a few days prior to us arriving. And a lot of individuals there use the sun to dry their clothes. So kids weren't being taken to school because they had no clothes, because they only have two outfits. They have two shirts, two pairs of pants, and one pair of shoes. And if they don't have the sun to dry their clothes, they they can't dry their clothes, and you can't send a kid to school in sopping wet clothes. So that was one thing that really showed me, wow, I wasn't even trying to be ungrateful, but it really made me take a step back and realize that. Air conditioning. Oh my goodness. It was raining, so it was colder there, but it gets warm there sometimes. And living in Florida, it's really hot here. And if I didn't have air conditioning, I know I would be complaining. But the individuals over there were so grateful for what they had. And personally, as someone who was a Christian, and seeing these people being so godly and so invested in their faith was lovely, because they were just grateful for what they had. And they were some of the most happy people I had ever met, and they were lovely. They were welcoming us into their homes. They wanted to cook for us, even though, like, that was their money they were spending, and they really did not have a lot to give, but they wanted to give everything. And it was amazing. But coming back to the States afterwards, it was like a 180 or a 3, it was like a 360. No, that's a circle. You know what I'm saying? It was the complete opposite. And at first I was like, "Oh my goodness, these people, including myself, were and are so ungrateful, complaining about this or that, everything." And it took a toll on me, actually. And I really grew from that experience and became a lot more grateful for what I have, and I am forever grateful for that experience. But I really saw a difference between these things, and it did make me feel fulfilled in a way, because I knew I helped those people, but they also gave me so much insight into gratefulness and unconditional love and positivity, and it was lovely. So I really recommend trying to volunteer or do things like that if you have the ability to, because they are lovely. And aside from being a Christian, they aside from me being a Christian, they were just lovely. It didn't I know I mentioned religion, and not everyone um participates in things like that, which is fine. But seeing it in that perspective was lovely, but taking a step back and not looking at it from that angle, they were just amazing people. And anyways, it was a great experience. So volunteering or contributing to a bigger picture is something I really recommend if you find yourself in a rut, or um being ungrateful. List the things that you have, and don't forget the things that you don't think about because you've had them forever, like refrigerators, a sink, running clean water, heat, air conditioning, car, everything. Everything, guys. It really helps. Moving on to the next thing is self reflection. And, oh, I don't know if you could hear my cat. Oh, I actually don't know where she is. I was going to show you guys her. But, anyways, um, self reflection. I personally journal. If you're watching the video version, you do see my journal here, but I I love journaling and reflecting on my days, or even writing down certain prompts. Like, it's really helpful, and it helps make you more aware of what you have, or more aware of what you're doing, and it's really insightful, and I recommend that. I can give you guys some recommendations on prompts, such as what makes me happy. If you're feeling ungrateful or empty, write down the things that make you happy and really think about it. Don't just be like, oh, I don't know what makes me happy. And at first, I found myself doing that when I was really stuck in a hole. I was like, nothing's making me happy. I'm so unhappy. Well, art makes me happy. My friends make me happy. Kind people make me happy. Plants make me happy. Having the ability to walk and breathe and see and hear and smell, having all of these great gifts that not everyone has, really is something that we should think about more. And it it's lovely. Anyways, another prompt that you could use if you're feeling like you just don't know where to go, or you're just like you don't even know where to start to dig yourself out of this hole, could be, what characteristics would the best version of me have? This is really good if you're someone who likes envisioning your future or goal setting, things like that. It can really help you mm, it can really help you start working towards that, because if you don't have a plan of where you're going, how do you expect yourself to be able to start? Which leads me into this next point of setting goals. Whether they're long term or short term goals, I recommend doing both. They can be very helpful for keeping yourself on track. When I'm considering the difference between a short term and a long term goal, I consider a short term goal 6 months or shorter. I can make some in 1 week goals, in 1 month goals, in 6 months goals. But when I'm thinking long term, I'm thinking 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, things like that. Anything past 10 years for me, I think of more as, well, this is plan A if everything works out. Because in 10 years, a lot will change, and I have no clue where I will be in 10 years. But I can think of a possibility of where I would like to be. So for super long-term goals, I kind of stray away from those personally. But if you're someone who's a little older, who has a lot of things set in place already, I guess long-term goals, like super long-term goals, 10 years or further, wouldn't be a horrible idea at all. When I'm creating long term goals, I'm thinking of things like achieving a goal weight. Personally, I'm trying to gain a little weight. So I obviously know if I want to gain 20 pounds, that's not going to happen in a month. That's not going to happen most likely even in 6 months. But maybe a year down the line, I could be at a goal weight or close to a goal weight. Short term goals, I would consider more to be starting a hobby or doing a consistent skincare routine, practicing a daily activity like I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day on learning this language, or 10 minutes a day reading, 10 minutes a day yoga, 10 minutes guitar, tiny little habits that you can start. And by the like starting a hobby as a short term goal, I mean like within 1 week, I want to participate in this at least 2 times. For instance, I recently picked up the hobby of boxing, and I absolutely love it. And I usually do that twice a week with a coach at the gym that I work at, and it is amazing. I remember the first time that I boxed with her, I felt amazing. I felt strong mentally and physically. I felt fulfilled, truly. It was, I really recommend doing something that shows you your physical abilities, and then I recommend you doing something that shows you your creative abilities. I used to, when I was a child, I loved to do art. And once I got into my older years of high school and my beginning years of college, I kind of strayed away from it. And whether that's because I had lots of things on my mind, lots of things going on, more responsibilities, that's less important. But recently, as of like probably a year ago at least, I got back into art. And art is a great form of self expression, or just not even that, it doesn't even have to be that deep. Art is a great form of just fun. You can just doodle. You can do anything you want with art. There's endless possibilities. And that'll lead me into my next topic of hobbies. Beginning a hobby or picking up old hobbies, like I said, for instance, art, are great ways to get yourself out of that rut that you've fallen into. Especially picking up an old hobby that maybe you stopped because your motivation left or things happened. Picking up an old hobby that reminds you of something you really enjoyed doing, for me it was art, really can help you start to grow and dig yourself out of that place that you're in. Beginning a new hobby is really good too, like I said, boxing, but some other things like, let's say, reading, going on walks, writing. I really love writing, so that's something I love to do. But picking up a new hobby can show you who you are and help you learn about yourself more and grow. For instance, start writing, dedicate 10 minutes a day. I know that you guys could stop scrolling for 10 minutes, or I could stop scrolling for 10 minutes a day and instead write down something in my journal. Doesn't matter what it is, nobody has to see it, or everyone can see it if I decided to show someone my journal, which I don't think I would show my personal entries, but you get what I'm saying. You have time in the day to dedicate at least 10 minutes to something. And whether that's a new or old hobby, I found that really helpful for getting out of a place when I was stuck in it. To continue this, I have two more topics I'm going to talk about today. This next topic is taking care of your mind and your body. So, I'll start with taking care of your body. Fueling yourself is just as important as rest. Well, rest is actually part of fueling yourself. If you're feeling stuck in a hole and you never do anything and all you do is lay in bed, I suggest going on a walk, going on a run, swimming, lifting weights, stretching. Get some exercise in and get your body moving. If you're inside all day with no sunlight, go on a walk outside and get some the sunlight to touch your skin. When I'm having a bad day, I'll go outside and me and my friends are like, "Oh, it's photosynthesis time," which is silly, but like we'll go out, stare at the sun. I actually only have one specific friend that I do this with, but anyways, we used to go and we would say it sometimes. But the feeling of the sun on your skin, even for 5 minutes, is like rejuvenating. I love it. So if you're feeling just like you do nothing ever, let's head outside and get some sun, guys. 5 minute walk. I know you have time for it. But if you are constantly pushing yourself, pushing yourself, pushing yourself, and not giving yourself a break, take a day off. I promise you that your gains from the gym or your gains from a hobby that you've been doing, or for those of you who maybe work for yourself and have the ability to take a day off from your job, because I know, like, I can't just call and be like, sorry guys, I'm taking a self day. I can't do that at my job. Um, but you know what I mean? Take some time to rest your body and rest your mind. Thinking about that, your mind needs quiet time. I love listening to podcasts and music and YouTube videos. I love doing that. But your mind needs quiet time to calm down. Whether that's when you're in the shower, don't play music. On your car ride to work or school or wherever you're going, don't listen to music. Don't listen to a podcast. Just be alone with your thoughts. Focus on your breathing. Be mindful. And um food. Food, guys. I'm working on this, but Fuel your body. If you're eating nothing but 500 calories a day of nothing, oh guys, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, we're gonna keep talking. Anyways, if you're not fueling your body properly with nutritious food, it takes a toll on you. And I've definitely had that happen to me recently as someone who does not have the best nutrition. And I'm gonna start really trying to prioritize that. For me, that means looking into recipes that I would actually like and cooking them because I'll meal I'll try to meal prep and it only lasts me 2 days, so I'm not meal prepping enough. And then I find myself going to places like Wawa and buying meals. And don't get me wrong, Wawa tastes good and there's probably some healthy-ish options that you can choose from, but one, that's not cost effective, and two, you shouldn't be eating Wawa every day. Simple as that. You shouldn't be eating Wawa every day or McDonald's. You shouldn't be eating. Cook your food. Cook your food. Meal prep or try to make meals. You don't even have to prep for days ahead. Cook your meals. Fueling your body with the necessary nutrients is crucial to feeling good. I know when I'm slacking on my food, I feel fatigued, I feel icky, I feel just grumpy. It really, if you're not fueling your body with rest or exercise or food or all of these things, you're you're gonna feel it, whether it's now or long term when you have health issues arise because of inactivity, or you have a burnout and it causes you to have to stop a bunch of things or like leave workplaces, leave a hobby because you're so burnt out. Just everything in moderation, you know? Let's talk about meditation. Like I was saying earlier about your mind needing quiet time, meditation or being mindful when you're doing things is something that I really recommend. You can meditate anywhere and any way. There's no correct way to meditate. You don't need to sit on the bed with your legs crossed and your hands in your lap and listening to some music. You don't need to meditate like that. Sure, that's a great form of meditation and it works for many people. But meditation can be as simple as being mindful with your movements in the gym, focusing on that, having your headphones in, whether they're just with noise canceling on or like blocking out noise or music. It There are so many different ways to meditate. It's really just letting your mind focus and yeah, being mindful. One time I was really stressing out about something and I happened to be staying with my aunt at the time, of which my cousin, so her daughter, was living with her. And I was like really I was having a breakdown. I was crying, I was hyperventilating. I was worked up, truly. And my cousin, she asked me if I wanted to meditate with her. And this was my first time like actually doing something that I would consider meditation. And oh my gosh. So for this experience, she brought her laptop in, she put on some calming meditation, and it was just some quiet music, you know. Um we sat there for 15 minutes and she told me to close my eyes and just focus on my breathing. One thing that helps is humming. When you hum, it's actually harder for your mind to produce thoughts. I think I read somewhere or was told that when you hum, you you can't actually focus on a thought or I don't know. But anyways, for me personally, at least when I'm humming, it really helps clear my mind because I'm focusing on humming and not all these racing thoughts. But this 15-minute session of meditation with her was life changing. Like I cannot even it was amazing and it really helped. After those 15 minutes of just focusing on my breathing and feeling relaxed, I felt better. I was calm, my mind felt more clear. and I could go to sleep. So I really do recommend trying some meditation. Just get somewhere comfy, maybe or maybe not put on some music, close your eyes, keep them open, focus on your breathing, and be mindful of what you're doing. I feel like the main part of meditation, for me at least, is that there's no distractions that are going to happen. So, normally, if I'm going to meditate, and I don't meditate all the time, I really only do it when I'm feeling very stressed because personally, for me, I don't really need that meditation time always. But when I'm stressed, it really does help. And what I do is I'll get in my bed and I'll put my earbuds in and I listen to like sound waves. I have this um like Apple playlist saved on my phone, and I actually use it as sleeping music, but when I'm meditating I use it for that too. I just sit there, I put my earbuds in with noise cancellation on, and I lay there until I feel calm and relaxed. Whether it's 3 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, it's gonna be, I might have fallen asleep. But um, just I get somewhere comfy and I let myself relax and I don't let myself get distracted. And it really does help clear my mind every time. There's not been one time without fail that I meditated and I didn't feel at least somewhat better afterwards. Well, actually, I did earlier say I only had two more things to talk about. Now I'm seeing that I now have two more things to talk about. So, this next thing I'm going to say is prioritizing yourself. And I know I've already covered a lot on this, so I'm not going to say much more on this other than you need to take time for yourself. And sometimes that means distancing yourself from people, and sometimes that means just taking a step back. It's important to consider the people that you're surrounding yourself with or the places you're hanging out in and how they could be affecting you. If you're trying to be more of a positive and less hateful person and you're hanging out with people who love to be negative all the time and just say hateful things about themselves or other people, it's a it's a big possibility that you are going to fall down that same hole and begin to feel hateful or negative. So it may be a good choice to take a step back from those people or distance yourself from others in general temporarily. But on the other hand, sometimes it would just mean you need to find new people to hang around. Like, let's just say positive people who have goals, are working towards things, and just people that are like minded to the person you want to become or are trying to become. And personally, in my opinion, if you ask someone or tell someone, hey, I need to take some me time and focus on myself, and they don't respect that, this is situational, but they don't respect that, it, just consider their intentions. And I know, for instance, if someone told me, if one of my friends was like, hey, I've just been really stressed lately, I know we had plans, but I just need to take some me time tonight. Yep. You go take some you time. I get it. Sometimes we are just not in the mood. And sometimes I'm not in the mood and I need to take a step back. And it's completely understandable. So never, if you have the right people in your life and the people you're supposed to have in your life, never oh, anyways, let me try to speak correctly. Never feel bad about telling them you need some you time. The last thing I'm going to talk about is just trying to experience life fully. That can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but some ways that I can say that it pertains to me at least is traveling. Whether you're traveling to further places or even just places in your neighborhood that you haven't tried before. For instance, I don't have money to just go on this lovely vacation every single week. Obviously, I would love to do that and it would be so fun, but I realistically can't do that. Instead, I don't do this, but I am trying to implement it into my life. I could just go try to explore a new food place. I could try to go explore a new coffee shop if I was wanting to do homework at a coffee shop. Let's go to the library and do this, blah, blah, blah. Just experiencing new places, even in the community that you already live in, is a really good way to show what is all around you and what you already have the capability to do. Something else could be stepping out of your comfort zone. So, like I said, going to new places. Maybe you're someone who doesn't want to go in public without somebody else because you are just shy, maybe, or you get embarrassed. You think people are going to be like, why is she alone? Guys, just go alone. I recently was at Chipotle and I was eating alone, and I would say maybe 2 years ago, I would have never sat in a restaurant alone by myself eating. And that may sound a little silly to some people, but I think to some other people, it's pretty valid and they might relate to that. I don't know, I felt weird about it. And I was like, these people are going to think I'm lonely and have no friends or this or that. And if they did think that, whatever. Like, I don't really care because they don't know me. But now in this current state of life, I will happily go sit at a restaurant by myself and eat because I'm there to eat. I'm not there to think about what other people are thinking about me, or I'm not there to think about how others are perceiving me. I'm there to get some good food. I wanted to go to the restaurant. No one else could join me, so I'm going to go alone and get some good food. And the last thing that I can say about that is appreciating small wins and the little moments. Gratefulness can go a long way. Let's say you talk to someone new today at work and you had a great conversation. Go you, let's appreciate that little conversation. Let's appreciate that interaction. Let's say you found a $1 bill in the parking lot. Okay, that's a win. You are $1 richer than you were before. I know that's a little silly, but it makes sense. Appreciate those little moments or little just times where you can be grateful for something. The happier you let yourself be, the more positive you are, the better you're going to feel. Don't let yourself linger in those negative feelings, those those moments that could be a little frustrating. It happens. Bad moments do not mean a bad day. Bad days do not mean a bad life. Everything happens for a reason. I know not everyone believes that. Personally, it's something that I like to think of because it helps me. When something negative happens to me and something doesn't go the way that I was hoping it would go, I tell myself that if it was meant to happen, and personally, like I said, as a Christian, if it was God's will, it would have happened. And if if it's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen. And for me, having that mindset really helped because I was able to just kind of begin brushing off negative things that happened to me because I realized, well, it just wasn't supposed to happen this time, or that wasn't the path I'm supposed to have. Whatever's going to happen to me will happen. And that really helps. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode on feeling lonely, and I hope maybe you got some insights on ways that you could implement these things into your life. I'm again so grateful that you were able to join me today. This is the Grace Yourself podcast. You can find me on YouTube if you want a video version at Grace Yourself. You can find me on Apple Podcasts at Grace Yourself. Or you can find me on Spotify at, you guessed it, Grace Yourself. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night or the rest of your day whenever you're watching this. You got this. Farewell.